Shalom. Welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the Israelite Girl's Guide to Living for the Most High. I am Dejyah, your host, and I'm so happy to be back with you again for another week on this amazing podcast that has been revolutionary in my life, but also I pray that it's been revolutionary in the lives of you as well. So thank you so much for being here. Today, I have an interesting topic for you. If you have not already checked out the first episode of season 2, please do. That episode is about modesty. I discussed with you all my journey into modesty, what the last 3 years of my walk has been like. And so if you haven't already, please take a listen, take a read, take a watch at the first episode. So thank you so much for being here for episode 2. In this episode, I'm kind of going to go into more of my testimony, just a different angle. But the question that I'm going to pose for this episode is, are you trusting yourself more than you trust YAH? And I know when people hear that question, no one ever wants to truly admit that they don't trust the Most High. Every time we talk about, I love God, I love what He's done for me, I love the Most High, this is why I love Him. No one ever wants to go into those dark times where it truly was a struggle to put all your faith and trust in the Most High, especially when sometimes He doesn't always work in the timing that we would want Him to work in. So today, that's what I'm going to dive into a little bit and just really give you some backstory into my own experience with trusting Him. So many of you may not know, or even if you do know, I'm just going to dive into this story a little bit more. I dropped out of grad school, not once, but twice. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably asking, wow, you dropped out of grad school twice? What was that about? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you what it was about. So the first time I enrolled in grad school was in 2020. Of course, everyone knows 2020, the year of the pandemic, the year of coronavirus, the year of COVID-19, the year of government agendas being exposed, maybe or maybe not. 2020 was also the year that I came into the truth and knowledge of being who I truly am in this realm, understanding my true identity as being a child of the Most High, as being actually a part of the story of the nation that the Most High spoke to and chose for Himself. So that was a very big year for me, not just because of the pandemic. I also graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2020. So this was a lot of things happening during this time. So rewind to July 2020. That's when I actually discovered that we were the people of the Bible, the Shemitic people, the nation of Yisrael, the Israelites. Not the Black Hebrew Israelites, because I don't know what that term even means, but the actual Israelites that the Most High chose to be a nation that came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our forefathers. So learning this information was so big for me. I was like, wow, this explains all of the unanswered questions that I had growing up. I grew up as a Christian. I went to a Christian school my entire life, literally preschool to 12th grade, graduated from that school. That's what I knew. I grew up in a very conservative Christian household. So that was all I ever knew. That was all I was ever exposed to. One thing I didn't really understand was why my school was teaching a doctrine different from what my church was teaching. And of course, my family is they don't have it right. We have it right. Of course, the school is the Baptist church has it right. Everybody else doesn't have it right. My question was, if everybody thinks they have it right, why is it so many denominations? So in 2020, when I finally understood what this whole thing encompassed, I was like, that makes so much sense now. So that was a chaotic year. I know if anyone remembers what 2020 was, which I'm sure y'all do, that was an extremely chaotic year. And I was just coming into the truth. And it just seemed like all hope was lost. It seemed like the state of the world was just going to hell in a handbasket. It seemed like everything was in shambles. It was a very confusing time for me. And I'm not going to lie and say that it didn't get very dark for me. Yes, I understood who I was, but I didn't understand where the salvation was in the whole thing. Everything just seemed super hopeless. And so once I graduated from with my bachelor's degree, I went straight into my graduate school program. I was going for my MBA, and I was very excited for it. I was kind of just like going through the motions of excitement. I don't know if you've ever felt detached whenever you're in these certain circumstances. I don't know if you've ever experienced feeling just detached from reality, quote unquote. That's kind of what I was dealing with. So I was just kind of going along with it. I had some financial aid. I was a student aide for a professor, so I received stipends for that. So it was pretty much paid for. So it was no reason not to go. But literally 1 month into the program, I had like a severe breakdown. I was like, I don't want to go to class. I don't want to do these assignments. I don't want to meet on Zoom. I don't want to be a part of this. It doesn't feel real. I don't care to be a part of this. And so I left. And a lot of my family members couldn't understand why I left. They were like, why would you leave? It's only, a year and a half that you have? What is it? 3 semesters or however many semesters it was. It's a quick program. Why couldn't you just tough it out and get through it? And in my mind, I'm thinking, tough it out and get through it for what? I see our society is crumbling. There is no coming back from this. This is the end of the world. I'm not going to spend the last days of the end of the world in grad school, especially when it may not amount to anything because the world is ending. So that was my mindset. So that was a dark time, obviously. I came out of that, thank the Most High. And in 2023, I decided to go back. Some of you may be asking, well, what changed from 2020 to 2023? And I will tell you what changed. Instead of going for my MBA, just strictly MBA business administration, this time I was going for an MBA in nonprofit management. By this point, I had been doing a lot of nation building. I had been doing a lot of philanthropy. I had been giving back to our community and working on different projects and programs. So I was like, okay, I can at least use this degree to be a resource for our nation, to help us elevate everything that we're doing. I think that now is the right time. And now I'm more focused and I'm prioritizing the right things now. So 2023, I go back. And, it was doing pretty okay. I did my first semester. I think I got all A's my first semester, maybe 1 B. I was very proud of that. I kind of just wanted to prove to myself that I could accomplish it. And I did. I proved that. But the issue with the second time around was that I was trying to be the savior for our nation. I was trying to be the savior for our people. And that is very wrong. Number one, the Most High speaks over and over again. He's the only one that can save Israel. He's the only one that can redeem Israel. There's no one beside him. He speaks a lot about that, in various scriptures. And so for me to come in and think, oh, I can get this degree from my oppressor's university and use that to unoppress my people, the math is not mathing. And so I realized that, and I was like, okay, that's a little warped. I also realized I was in the wrong for seeking validation and preparation from the beast system instead of the Most High. For whatever reason, I thought that I could provide something to the nation that the Most High wouldn't provide. I thought that maybe I could finish this degree up, make a bunch of money, pour all these resources into the nation, and I would be the one that saved everything. And that was such a prideful way of thinking. That was such an arrogant way of thinking, to think that, oh, I don't need the Most High. I'm just going to get this, certificate of achievement from the beast, and the beast is going to validate me to unoppress my people, which is also warped thinking, because how am I going to go to my oppressor to try and free my people? The oppressor is not going to give us any level of freedom, which is why the whole reparations movement is kind of a joke, because why would they help us get out of the situation they put us in when we put ourselves in that situation to begin with by being disobedient? That may be getting a little too deep. I'm going to save that for another episode. But we cannot seek validation from the beast system. We cannot seek salvation from the beast system to save ourselves from the beast. That literally makes no sense. I also realized that I wanted to be the one to receive the glory instead of YAH. I wanted everyone to be able to say, oh, wow, Dejyah, like, because you did X, Y, and Z, you brought us out of this, and now we're able to do X, Y, and Z. That's not how this thing goes. The Most High chooses humble servants. He will choose the lowly and raise them up for particular purposes. That way he can use them the way he wants to use them. And at the end of the day, he will receive the glory and honor for it, nobody else. And so I had that completely wrong as well. So once I realized that and I was humbled by that, I was like, okay, I have to stop. Literally the first semester, I did so well, super confident, was breezing through, had great relationships with my professors, was doing amazing. Second semester came, I said, yeah, I can't do this. I'm not invested in these classes. I don't want to do these assignments. I don't want to show up. The same thing that happened in 2020 was happening again. So at that point, I realized, okay, I see I got this whole thing wrong. So pretty much sharing this whole story with you of my own situation. And yes, I'm not in grad school anymore, and I don't plan to go back again. I know that the Most High can equip me for what I need to be able to provide to the nation. So my message for this was just to let the Most High prepare you and equip you for what is needed and for what he wants you to do. You cannot receive preparation for kingdom work outside of the king. That's dumb. That's literally dumb. It's not going to work. And the Most High is going to make sure that you know you're not going to receive that without him. He is the reason for being. He is the reason why we're even alive. He is the reason why we're even here. So to think that you can do something outside of him and think that you're going to win that way, not going to work. Which brings me to my next point. You cannot operate outside of his will and expect a righteous return. That's literally not going to work. And operating outside of the Most High's will is sin. The Most High actually looks at rebellion, which is operating outside of his will or being an adversary to his will. He looks at that as being witchcraft. That's in 1 Samuel 15, verse 23. Literally, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So if that's what you're doing, the Most High is not blessing that at all. And he's going to let you fall flat on your face if that's what you choose to do. So I had to learn that lesson as well. He wanted me to see that it didn't matter how many accolades and achievements I received, that he is the only one who can save our nation. There's nothing I can do that will save our nation if the Most High has not poured into me to be able to pour back out. That's how this thing works. He's the source. I can't plug into a different source and expect the outcome I want to see. It's literally not going to work. And so that's just what I want to share with everyone today, that operate in the will of the Most High. Let him be the one that saves us, redeems us, and brings us out of this situation. Yes, he uses people. He will use you as a vessel. Allow him to use you. Don't stand in the way of being used by the Most High. Literally, when I stopped all that stuff, trying to be the one to be the savior and all that foolishness, so many things elevated. I literally allowed him to set the pace, set the schedule, set the intention. I followed that. And now I've seen so much exponential growth with the work we've been doing. I don't even want to say it's crazy, because that would be a disservice to the Most High. It's a blessing to be able to see how he's using his servants and how he will use you if you let him use you the way that he intends to. Don't stand in the way of your own progress. Allow him to be the one to direct everything. I'm always talking about let him direct the path. And that is the same message today as it was the other day. Literally, let him be the one to guide the situation. And you will be so pleased at what happens as a result of letting the Most High use you the way he sees fit. So that's pretty much what I had to share. So to answer the question, am I trusting myself more than the Most High? Yeah, I was trusting myself more, but now I trust YAH more. And I want the same for you too. So I thank you so much for listening to this episode. Stay tuned for weekly episodes dropping. Like I said last episode, I don't know how many episodes it will be, but I will be back again for another episode of the Israelite Girls Guide. Thank you so much for being here with me. And it would be a disservice for me not to give a shout out to our sponsor. So please take a look at this message, and shalom. This episode is brought to you by Chariot Tea, a 100% clean and lawful loose leaf organic tea company. Get your tea today at chariottea.com.